This is the Untold Italy Travel Podcast, and you are listening to episode number 187.
Ciao a tutti and benvenuti to Untold Italy, the travel podcast where you go to the towns and villages, mountains and lakes, hills and coastlines of Bella Italia. Each week, your host, Katy Clarke, takes you on a journey in search of magical landscapes, history, culture, wine, gelato, and of course, a whole lot of pasta. If you're dreaming of Italy and planning future adventures there, you've come to the right place.
Ciao, ciao, buongiorno, everyone. Who is feeling a little hungry today? Well, if you're not already prepared to be famished after we've finished with this culinary journey of Italian street food from north to south, then I suggest you get yourself ready. Street food is one of the best ways to really sink your teeth into the local culture, sorry, pun intended, wherever you go, and especially in Italy where the locals develop their own traditions and snacks based on what produce is available and, generally speaking, how workers could quickly fuel up on the go. Compared to restaurant dining, it's cheap and fast, but it's also super tasty and will keep you energised for hours while you continue your adventures in Italy. This is the original fast food, but let's not compare what they are serving up with our mass-produced fare. Make no mistake, a lot of care and attention, plus great ingredients, go into making street food in Italy. So today I'm going to tell you about some favourites and where you can find them. It's by no means an exhaustive list, but you could actually make a whole Italian street food itinerary from these suggestions. And if you do, I'd love you to tell me about it. Okay, so of course we have to start with the original street food beloved the world over, which is naturally pizza. Naples is the undisputed home of pizza, but I'm here to tell you that you'll find different varieties up and down the country. So why not compare and contrast the different styles of pizza wherever you go? Of course, we'll start with the classic, and that's pizza Napolitana. Now, if we were writing a rule that simplicity is the best, then surely pizza Napolitana would be the prime example. Just a handful of ingredients go into making this iconic Italian street food, so they must be the very best versions of those ingredients. Flour, yeast, salt and water make the dough, which is allowed to rest, sometimes for days, before it's topped with crushed San Marzano tomatoes, mozzarella cheese, basil and extra virgin olive oil. It's then cooked in a very hot wood-fired oven for around 90 seconds. Out it pops, piping hot, dough puffed up and cheese melted and incredibly delicious. So delicious, in fact, that in an attempt to recreate this magic, it's said that restaurants in New York City have imported not just the flour, but even the water from Naples to try and replicate pizza Napolitana, to no avail. If you want to learn more about this Neapolitan pizza, we did a deep dive with my friend Pier Paolo, who says he eats about 5 a week on episode 73. And I think maybe if you're wondering whether this is true street food, because a lot of times you're going to see people sitting down and eating their pizza with a knife and fork, you can actually, and what people tend to do is they fold it up and they shove it in their mouth and they eat it. And you know what? It's delicious. Whichever way you're eating it, fancy or not, you're going to love pizza Napolitana. And it's definitely worthwhile heading down to Naples just to do a pizza tour. And in fact, we do know some friends that have just started one, so I'll put that into the show notes as well. The next type of pizza you'll find when you head on up to Rome, and that's a completely different style of pizza with a much thinner crust, and it's usually cooked in an electric oven, and that's pizza a taglio. It's sold by the slice, which is basically a direct translation of a taglio, and it's usually cut up with scissors. What you do is you gesture to the server how much you would like, and they'll wrap it up for you. In Rome, you'll find different toppings too, like a pizza bianca or white pizza made simply with salt and olive oil. And if you're staying near Campo di Fiori in Rome, you can try this at the Forno or bakery in the western corner of the piazza. And I had it last time. It was so delicious. I just arrived and I had a bit of the munchies, as you do, and I'd been for a walk and I just was like, I just wanted something really simple. And yeah, I just headed to the Forno and got myself a slice and it was delicious. The next type of pizza I want to talk to you about is another more modern take on pizza, and I found out about it from our friend Nazim, who you've heard on previous episodes about Roman cuisine. And it's called the trapizzino or stuffed pizza, and really it's a meal unto itself. It is a pizza stuffed, it's like a pocket of pizza stuffed with fillings in such as eggplant parmigiana, polpette, which are meatballs, chicken cacciatore, and more. And they do like to do seasonal flavours as well, and you'll often find offal-based ones too, which is very popular in Rome, but if you're not keen on that, you need to check the ingredients first. But actually, it's totally delicious, and that will tide you over for a few good hours, actually. It's a very hearty meal in itself, just being a pocket of pizza with a few things inside. In Sicily, pizza is also called sfincione, and the version from Palermo is rectangular with a thick crust, and it's usually topped with tomatoes, onions, herbs, and anchovies, as well as a strong local cheese like Toma. Of course, you'll find pizza up and down the country with different toppings and techniques. I love a pizza bianca with shaved truffles, which you'll find in the middle to the north of Italy. It's delicious. Yum. We could probably devote a whole episode to different pizza varieties, and no doubt we will one day. So I'm going to move on to some street food snacks that Italians love. Fried foods. But we're not talking about chips or French fries here. Oh no. The frying brings out the flavour and adds texture to ingredients that are varied and delicious. So in Italy, it's called the fried. They just love it, and they call everything, oh, we're going to get some fried, and it's fritti. And I think, we have in our countries maybe fried food has had a bit of a bad rap, but Italians love it, and it's part of a varied diet, and they're not always eating fried foods all the time, but when they do, they make sure it's super delicious. So the first fried food that I want to talk to you about is called olive ascolana, and these are green olives, big green olives stuffed with meat. They've had their pips removed and then they stuffed with meat. They're coated in breadcrumbs and fried. Usually served at aperitivo, they are the perfect foil to even tipple, may it be an Aperol Spritz or a glass of wine. And these tasty morsels are from the town of Ascoli Piceno in the region of Le Marche. But you can imagine my excitement when I found them here in Australia. Not quite the same, but still pretty delicious. Fritto misto is mixed fried, the direct translation is. And it could be fish, calamari, zucchini flowers, or little dough balls. There's nothing like grabbing a cone of fried treats to munch from a roadside stall or by the beach. I've noticed that the fried van is found at locations up and down Italy, at the fish markets in Naples and the street markets in the northern region of Lombardy. You can also find filetti di bacala in Rome, and that's fried fish, in fillets of fish, of codfish. And sorry, English listeners, it's actually a lot more tasty than your average battered fish that you'll find in the UK. Sorry. we do fish and chips here too in Australia, and actually the filetti di bacala is actually, I think, more delicious than that too. And then, of course, there's scagliozzi, and that's fried polenta, which is a little bit like a hot fried potato chip. This one's from Puglia, and there's something so Moorish about the crunchy crust and creamy centre that keeps you coming back for more. Of course, all of this has got a nice healthy dose of salt on top, and if you're a bit of a salt fiend like I am, it's manna from heaven, really. In Emilia, the Emilia region, they like gnocco fritto, and that's fried dough that's served with the rich cured meats of the region. I love the crunch from these gnocco fritto that pair perfectly with the creamy texture of the meat. It's such a delicious combination. And last but not least, you might not be surprised to learn that pizza is also fried. Pizze fritte are pizza dough rounds stuffed with tomato and mozzarella cheese cooked in the fryer. It's all seriously good stuff, and difficult to resist if you spot these fried foods on your travels. They are quite rich, so, just grab a cone and share your fried goods with your friends or your family. You won't regret it. It's absolutely delicious and something I definitely recommend that you try. So now we're going to talk about the savoury pastries and breads you can find across Italy in various forms. These are usually sold from a forno or bakery, and there are so many different varieties to choose from across Italy's regions, but we'll mention just a few of them here. So in Puglia, you can find a pastry that's called rustico, and it's made with flaky puff pastry and filled with tomato and creamy bechamel sauce. I tried this in Lecce and it was amazing and quite different from the other varieties of pastry and bread in Italy. This is almost French actually, but obviously much better. Sorry, French people. I'm going to start a European war here with my food comparisons, but I'll be more careful going forward. In beautiful Liguria, which is the northern coastal area on the west coast of Italy, they are known for the wonderful use of chickpeas, and they make farinata, chickpea flour pancakes, which are the ultimate expression of respect for this beautiful chickpea flour, and it's flavoured with onion and rosemary. And of course, we include tasting farinata straight from the oven in our food and wine tour of Liguria, as it's so delicious and so different. It's not something you'll find anywhere else in Italy. Now, as well as focaccia, again, straight out of the oven, this amazing flatbread is something to behold, whether you like the Ligurian style, which is served with olive oil and salt, very simple, or the equally delicious Barese style from Puglia with tomato and olives. We did have some life-changing focaccia in Puglia, and we have included that stop in our Puglia tour because it's absolutely delicious, and it's one of those things you just have to try and dream about for a long time because you're not going to find it anywhere else. Now, heading back to the central Italian region of Emilia, keep an eye out for tigelle, and which is a traditional disc-shaped bread that's made in special clay moulds, and it's served with a spread made with Parmigiano Reggiano cheese and other delicious flavours. The lucky guests on our Beyond Bologna tour learn how to make this bread and hear the stories of its past on our tour of the region, and it's one of the highlights actually that people really enjoy when they visit the region. It's not something that you can really organise in advance. We've got a special relationship with some people there that know how to make this beautiful bread and to tell the stories of why it's important to the people of the region. Now, something that is easy to access is in Milan, and there's a famous shop that's just around the corner from Duomo called Luini that sells panzerotti, or small pastry pockets filled with various things like cheese, salami, tomato, and even Nutella. Originally from Puglia, these tasty treats are a great refueling option in Milano. I'm just warning you that you'll probably regret buying just one, so load up when you're there. It's really good, and it's a great cheap and tasty snack in a city that can be a little bit pricey for food. Lastly, in Umbria, they enjoy crescia, which is a flatbread perfect for stuffing with cured meats and cheeses, but it's also very tasty on its own. We had some very delicious crescia when we were in Gubbio last year, and I can highly recommend that. It's a very different style of bread than the focaccia, and, it's good to mix it up a bit on occasion, I reckon. Now, in case you were thinking that there's a whole lot of carb action happening here, and you wouldn't be wrong, those foods were traditionally created to feed hungry workers cheaply. However, there are also protein-based foods that you might like to try. Let's head to Abruzzo, where the street snack of choice is arrosticini, or barbecued cubes of skewered meat, usually lamb or mutton, dressed with some salt and olive oil. Absolutely delicious. Just further south in Puglia, you can find bombette, which are rolls of capocollo or pork neck dressed with salt, pepper, rosemary, parsley and cheese, and it's cooked on a spit. And we first tried these at a restaurant that we now visit on our Puglia tour, and we were so thrilled with the favour bomb that met our taste buds. They're absolutely amazing. We can highly recommend the bombette. Also in Puglia, Crudo or fresh seafood straight from the water is another tasty street snack. I'm still reeling at the cost, which is so cheap, of the sea urchins that are split into two so you can scoop the flesh out and eat with a squeeze of lemon or just naturally. These would sell for absolutely exorbitant prices anywhere in the world, but here you can try them for just €1. For you cheese lovers, you can stop by little stores in Naples for tiny bowls of the best mozzarella you've ever tasted, drizzled with olive oil and with a few juicy small tomatoes for colour and flavour. That was where we did coin the phrase life-changing cheese, and it wasn't an exaggeration. We had had a few bites to eat because we'd been on a food tour. My friend and I did stop and go, wow, this is amazing. You can get protein-based street snacks wherever you go. And another one in winter and in autumn is roasted chestnuts, castagne. And they're everywhere throughout Italy and by the side of the road, and you can smell them and taste the beautiful juicy flesh, and sometimes with a sprinkle of salt. It's absolutely delicious. So in case you were thinking everything is a carb fest in Italy, you can definitely find things that are not 100% based around rice and flour-based things. Now, in case you're hankering to combine your carbs and proteins, a sandwich is obviously the answer. Have you seen the huge sandwiches at L'Antico? This Florentine store is taking Instagram and Florence and now Rome by storm. Personally, I don't line up for half an hour for any sandwich, but if you want to go ahead, please do. But I'm also going to give you some alternatives that are just as good, perhaps better. Anywhere you go where there's a smaller amount of food made that's made to order, it's probably going to be tastier, I think, because more care and attention goes into it. In that place, they're making a lot of sandwiches a day, and they're huge. Please, if you're going there, keep an eye on people coming out of the store and see how big the sandwiches are, because you probably can have one between four, I think. Anyway, Lamprodotto is the traditional sandwich of Florence, and it's the inspiration for the aforementioned sandwich store. Served in a panino, it's a type of bread roll. It's filled with meat, which is actually, now bear with me here, it's the fourth and final stomach of the cow, so it's intestines, that has been slow cooked with tomato, onion, parsley and celery until it is super, super tender. It's put into the roll or the panino and it's topped with a zingy salsa verde green sauce. And you'll find this in stalls throughout Florence in the city centre, and it's a delicious treat. You can also go to the San Lorenzo market and you'll find it there too. I went with my friend Tony from Taste Florence on one of her tours, and she actually knows how to navigate the Lamprodotto, and you can actually choose ones that aren't the intestines if that's making you feel a little wheezy. But yeah, definitely try something like that. This green sauce just elevates the sandwich to a whole nother level. I totally recommend it. Now, piadina is a flatbread of the Romagna region that's filled with meats and cheeses. And this one is perfect if you prefer your filling to bread ratio to be weighted to the side of the fillings, because the piadina bread is very, very flat. Not to be outdone in the filling stakes, you'll want to go to Umbria for your porchetta panino. This is perhaps the ultimate sandwich Italian style, according to my husband. It's a roll that's filled with juicy, slow-cooked roast pork stuffed with herbs, and it's absolutely, absolutely delicious. You can also find this sandwich in Rome, so look out for it. There are a few places around the Campo di Fiori market in the centre and just in random spots. Probably worth doing a bit of research if you want to grab a porchetta panino. Before we move on to some sweet items, I wanted to let you know about some rice snacks. So most people may have heard of arancini, which are a staple of Sicilian street food. They're made with cooked rice and stuffed with meat, peas and cheese, then rolled in breadcrumbs and fried for a delicious afternoon treat. In Rome, supplì are similar, however they're a bit smaller and they're sort of longer, and they're generally only filled with mozzarella cheese, which oozes out when you bite into them or break them in two. You'll find supplì all over Rome and often in pizza places for the ultimate pre-pizza snack. Of course, We don't need just to talk about savoury street food snacks in Italy. The Italians have a sweet tooth like no other, and so you can definitely find street food desserts on the go. And the first one I'm going to tell you about needs no introduction, really. It's cannoli, and it's perhaps Sicily's best-known dish or sweet treat. And these tubes of crunchy pastry are filled with freshly whipped ricotta. And let me tell you, you'll never, ever be able to eat a cannolo at home again after you've chomped into a proper Sicilian one. You won't find a Sicilian cannolo pre-filled. Oh no, that would make the pastry soggy, which the combination of the crunch and the cream is the whole thing. So what's required here to get that perfect crunch to cream ratio and that oh my god moment when the combination hits your taste buds is that you need to have that cream, the ricotta cream, freshly piped and maybe a little dipped in chocolate chips or a little bit of candied orange peel. A lot of people visit Sicily just to try cannoli, and I really don't blame them. Dare I say it, this sweet done properly is life-changing. Now, across the Tyrrhenian Sea in Naples, they also have a penchant for sweet treats thanks to the ruling Bourbon dynasty in the 18th century and their queen, Maria Carolina, sister of Marie Antoinette of Let Them Eat Cake fame. Although it has to be said, Maria Carolina was a lot more savvy than her sister. But we digress. Thanks to this international influence and the bringing of Austrian and French pastries to Naples, there are a plethora of sweet treats to try in the city. Probably the most famous are the sfogliatelle, which are flaky layers of pastry cooked until crunchy and then filled with cream or ricotta. In the United States, sometimes they call them lobsters, but it kind of doesn't resemble the deliciousness that you will find in Naples. Another popular treat that is easy to take away and eat on the street is rumbaba. These are small yeast cakes drenched in syrup and typically rum, and they are, well, that's is a definite pick-me-up if you're flagging in the late afternoon. Just grab your rumbaba and off you go. They don't sit still in Naples. They love to create more modern creations, and one that we tried last year was called Il Fiocco di Neve, and it's snowflakes in English, and they're little dough balls filled with cream and dusted with sugar. And you can find those at Pasticceria Popella in the city's Saneta district. They have traditional sweets there too, so it's a really great place to go and check out just the array of sweets that are on offer in Napoli. And that one's just near the Galleria and the big piazza there, so it's an easy one to find. Now, over to the east in Puglia, the treat of choice is known as pasticciotto. It's a short crust pastry filled with custard and jam, and it's often eaten for breakfast, and it's best served just warm out of the oven. You can imagine it's pretty delicious. And speaking of breakfast, Italians love a sweet breakfast, and in Rome, the thing to eat is maritozzo. This is a bun filled with cream to order. It's a decadent street food for sure. And I'd like to let you know about a lovely pasticceria right near Piazza Navona called Pasticceria Cinque Lune, where they prepare your maritozzi and wrap them beautifully in gorgeous coloured tray and red paper, and it's all wrapped up. And it does seem a shame to unravel that decoration, but then you take a bite of the bun and oh my goodness, it's pretty special. I recommend. Which brings us to the last street food I'll mention, and it's perhaps the one to rule them all. And that's gelato. Made to be eaten on the go, gelato is for strolling along the street in the piazza, taking your time and enjoying the flavours. Whether you like creamy or fruity gelato, it's best to enjoy one a day in Italy for the ultimate cultural and street food experience. We did a whole episode on gelato, episode 157, explaining where to find the best and our favourite spots. But here's a community service announcement. If the gelato is piled high, sporting colours that do not represent anything natural, you should avoid it and find a place that stores their deliciously melty gelato in tubs. Okay, there you have it, our guide to Italian street foods, and definitely not an exhaustive list. Street foods are a great on-the-go option, and you can keep those energy levels up as you enjoy your adventures in Italy. A really great way to discover more delicious dishes like this and places to eat is on a food tour. So make sure you do at least one when you're in Italy, and you'll be munching your way around Italian food heaven the whole trip. We know some of the names we mentioned in the podcast are tricky, so of course they are in our episode show notes on our website at untolditaly.com/187 for episode 187. Here you'll find the show notes for each and every episode, as well as hundreds of useful articles to help you plan your Italian trips, from accommodation guides to region information and things to do. We're building Untold Italy into a one-stop destination for all your Italy travel plans. Grazie mille. We'd like to thank you all for your support of Untold Italy and your enthusiastic messages and reviews. It means the world to us that so many people from countries around the world tune in each and every week to listen to the show. If you do enjoy it, it would be incredible if you took a few moments to write a quick review or give us a rating on your favourite podcast app. Grazie mille in advance. We appreciate you. That's all for today. On next week's episode, we're bringing on the late summer vibes with podcast favourite Corinna Cook returning to share her beachy Italian dreams. But until then, it's ciao for now. The Untold Italy podcast is an independent production. Podcast editing, audio production and website development by Mark Hatter, production assistance and content writing by the other Katy Clarke. Yes, there are two of us. For more information about Untold Italy, please visit untolditaly.com.